Hey crafters, welcome back to my channel Because I'm Crafty. My name's Katelyn and today I have a sewing related DIY for you. I don't know about you guys, but my sewing machine pedal just slides and slides and slides and slides as I'm sewing, and then all of a sudden my legs way out far, and it's so uncomfortable and incredibly annoying to me. Especially my floor is really smooth and soft, it's not carpet, so this thing just ends up way too far back. And I am tired of it. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a little rest non-slip holder for your pedal. So you can do this for any type of pedal you have, primarily if it's one that's like this, where it plugs into your machine and it's just a small one that's not fixed to anything. I might actually make a second one for my serger, although for some reason that one doesn't slide as far as this one. But the things you're going to need for it are a tube, preferably one that's a little bit thicker than a paper towel roll, so something that is like from gift wrapping or something like that. Maybe if you can see there, it's a little bit of a thicker tube. It's much stronger and hard. You're going to need some quilt batting, some fabric. I'm just using some scraps that I had from recovering my sewing chair. You're going to need some grip fabric. So this one is a shelf and drawer liner that I got from the dollar store. It's a little bit thicker and will give a little bit more stability to the holder. And then I got another one, which is another shelf liner, non-slip, but it's got a little bit more of a sticky texture to it, which I think will grip to the floor a little bit better than this one. You're going to need some scissors to cut this really weird stuff. I wouldn't suggest your fabric scissors. Something to cut your actual fabric with, and something to measure with. You may need some kind of marking tool, chalk, whatever you use if you're going to draw on your fabric before you cut everything out. But other than that, you're going to do a little bit of sewing, not too much, but that's it. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is measure my pedal so I know how much of materials and everything I need. I know I definitely have a big enough scrap here, so I'm not too worried about how big I need to make it. But basically the gist of how this is going to look, because it probably sounds really confusing with what I've just mentioned, but this tube is going to get covered with the fabric, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of batting on it just so it's got a bit of a cushion to it. But basically this is going to be at the front, and the pedal is going to sit like this, and then there's going to be a base that comes all the way around the pedal, so that when you're using it, it's got this to kind of press up against, but it also has the grippy fabric on the bottom so that it grips to your floor. And then I'm going to use this one for the base that this will actually touch and sit on, so that it will grip to this as well. So I kind of have multiple ways of trying to stop this from sliding. I've got this little piece so it can't go off of anything, and then I've got the double grip layer. So that's kind of how it's going to look. I'll put a little picture in here so you can see the final product, but obviously I haven't made it yet, so we're getting there. So we're gonna measure our pedal, and we've got 2 3/4 wide by 5.5 long. So let's just round that up to 3 by 6 for our base. So, and for this we want it to be a little bit wider too, right? So if we have 3, let's make it wider. So let's make it, I think I want to make it 5 so that I have enough extra on each side. So I'm going to take my paper scissors, and I'm just going to kind of put a little marker spot on my tube, and then I'm going to cut that with an X-Acto. So I'll put that aside for now. So I know that my base is going to be 5 by 6 long. Actually, let's make it longer because the back seems to be, yeah, let's make it longer. So let's do 6 by 7, just because we have to have space for the roll at the front too. Yeah, so let's do 6 by 7, plus we need our seam allowance. So let's cut it 7 by 8. 7 by 8, sounds good. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring the camera over here so you guys can see what I'm doing for the rest of it instead of being on the other side. But yeah, I'm gonna cut my fabric next. So this is going to be the base part of this, and I'm actually going to cut a piece of this that's going to sit on top and the bottom, so it'll kind of sit right in the middle, and then I'll have strips of this on the bottom. But before I do that, I actually want to cut a piece that's going to cover my tube. So let's just move that out of the way. So we cut 5.5 here, but I want to cut it a lot longer so we have enough to kind of stick in the ends. Or sorry, we did 5 inches. So if we cut it 8, should be enough. Do it this way. So if we do 8 long, we want to make sure that we have enough to stuff in the ends of the hole. And then how big is it around? We've got 4, basically it's less than 4, but once we get the batting in, it'll be a little bit bigger. So we've got 4 inches, plus we need our seam allowance, so if we do 1/4 inch, then that's 4.5. This little piece will be big enough to cover our, so this is our marker here. It'll go around like that and then get stuffed in the end, like so. I'm going to cut a piece of batting that same size. There. So once you have that all pinned, you can sew that edge along with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you can turn it right side out and fit it onto this once you have it cut. So I'm going to cut that after, once I'm ready. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece of this stuff, which is the little bit thicker shelf liner. So this is the size of our complete base. But I don't think that I need it to cover the whole thing because we just want it to be big enough for this area. So again, this was rounded up to 3, rounded up to 6. So let's do it a little bit bigger and do 3.5 by 6. That way there's enough coverage for the whole thing. I'll just use my ruler. My ruler is 6 inches wide, so that works. Okay, so that is big enough for the bottom base of my petal. Now I'm going to cut a piece the same size as this. Look at that, perfect. Perfect little piece there. I'm just going to cut off a little bit. And that's going to become the very bottom. So I'm going to put this little kind of printed side down, and this is going to go on top. Now there's a few different ways that you could finish this, but I don't think that bagging it out is going to be the best option because this stuff isn't going to fold very nicely. So I think what I'm going to do is just end up folding in each edge and top stitching it down. So in that case, I'm going to cut it down just a little bit so that my fold ends up matching up. So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to cut off 1 inch from 2 of the sides, and that should make up our 1/2 inch folds on either side. You can always serge the edge together and just leave it like that, but I kind of want my edge to be nicely finished. There we go. So once I get the top and bottom folded in, it'll match up, and my sides folded in. It'll kind of be right on the edge of both sides, because this is never going to fray away or anything, so you don't need to worry about that. Then I'm going to take this one, which feels a little bit more grippy to me, and I'm going to cut a couple strips to go across the bottom of that. So I'm thinking a 2-inch strip. Even my ruler's getting stuck to it. That's wide enough for 2. Perfect. So I'm just going to cut that in half. My paper scissors, because I don't trust my fabric scissors and stuff. And this will be on the bottom, so touching the floor. These are just going to go across here like that. Just like so. That should be enough grip to kind of hold it. I'm just going to grab some sewing clips and hold that together for now. So this is what will be face down on the floor. And this piece, if you want to take it to the iron, you can iron your edge down. But this stuff does not iron very well. It's very plasticky. So I'm just going to fold it down myself and use the clips to hold it in place until I'm ready to sew it. So we've got our top on our bottom, and then we've got this piece that will go right in the middle, and that'll just get top stitched in place as well. So it will sit kind of to the back like that, and then you will have your hole on the end like that. So since I have my pedal unplugged in order to do this DIY, I just went over to my serger and serged the edge together with 2 needles so it's nice and secure. And I'm just going to turn this right side out. So I'm going to kind of open one end and push the quilt batting to either edge. And you're going to start to stretch it around your tube. This part is going to be a little bit tricky to get it going, but once you get it in there it's super easy. It's just the start is a little bit tricky. I get it kind of pushed into the middle as best you can. That way you have an equal amount on each side to push into the middle. I'm just trying to even it out a bit. Now that little part is all finished, and that will get attached at the very front here. So that will be our base for pedal to push up against. So I'm just going to go over to the machine and top stitch this on and plug my pedal in And I'm just going to grab this little part at the same time so that when I top stitch that edge, I can catch it as well. Okay, make sure everything's flat under all your clips. Now you may have to play around with needles and stuff just because this is very weird fabric. So just be gentle with your machine, go slow. You might have to help it through because the grip fabric might grab onto your needle plate and feed dogs. So just go gently, and then once I go around this area, I'll go around here as well to hold that down. And for ease of attaching this, instead of trying to hand stitch it down, I've just taken a strip of this thicker grip fabric and strung it through the middle, and this is just going to get tucked in that seam on the sides, so it'll hold it in place. So what I'm going to do is sew the lower 3/2 of this, including the top stitching of this area. Then I'm going to add this in and then do the rest of my top stitching. That way I can catch everything at once, and then this is nice and secure. And I've also made sure to put my stitch on the longest straight stitch length so that it'll have a little bit easier moving along this sticky fabric. So I'm just going to start a little bit lower here on this area so that I have room for that little strap later on. So now I want to go back and sew around this part, which I think I'm going to put the Teflon foot on just to see if that helps. Just going to go across the middle here because it doesn't have to go across this part. This part seems to sew a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go across this middle section in the pattern. I don't think the Teflon foot is any better than the other foot. It seems to stick more to it for some reason. Okay, so there's our grip piece held down for our petal. Now I'm just going to go across the top here so that it's easier once I get that roll on, that I don't have to do that area. There we go. So I'm just going to take this part because it's going to naturally sit there. So I want to stick these ends inside those openings that I left on either side. Okay. That. I just want them in enough so that you can catch it when you top stitch that edge. So I'm just going to bring you down to the floor to show you guys what this looks like with my pedal. There are of course many different ways that you could do this. This is just the way that I thought was easiest and more cost effective, because pretty much everything I got was from the dollar store. Plus I just had that gift wrapping tube just kind of laying around, and I used my scrap fabric. So let's see how it works. So you've got the base up against the front here. Got my Ugg boots. I've got these warm boots on because it's cold down here in the basement. But I think that works really well. I can feel that it's really gripping against the floor and it's not going to move very easily. And it's definitely not moving on the pad due to this little part. So I think that that is going to work really well for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little DIY. It's definitely something that can up your game in your sewing and make things a little bit easier for you and less annoying, especially for myself. I just found it so annoying that that pedal would end up so far back that I couldn't even see it under my table anymore because of the little lip at the back, and I'd be having to pull it out all the time. And even at work too, I have the same problem. We have the machine I work on most is a metal pedal as well, and it does that all the time, and it's so aggravating. By the end of the day you're like trying to sew and your foot's like, it's way far away from you. So hopefully you guys found that DIY helpful. Of course I'm sure there's many other ways that you could do it. This was just the way that I found easiest in my head. So if you guys make this DIY, make sure to share it with me on Instagram with the hashtag becauseimcrafty. I would love to see your take on it and how you do it. If you are not subscribed, subscribe already so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm going to be making a few more DIY videos and Christmas idea videos, holiday gifting, whatever you want to use it for, along with a few makes, plans, and other related videos until the end of the year. And then I'm probably going to take a break while I'm in Rwanda. I probably won't be able to pre-film a bunch of stuff. We'll see how it goes. But I'll definitely be sharing a lot while I'm there on Instagram if you're interested. So I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time, crafters. Bye!